I'll start my screen share. I'm actually, first quick intro. I'm Jeremy, head of growth at Balancer Labs, helping the community-driven growth and sustainability of the Balancer protocol. And today I'm going to be talking about giving you an introduction to Balancer V2, which is going to launch very soon. There's a lot of exciting new stuff to show you guys, so let me get that started.
Yeah, sorry for not having my manners and not having my camera on. Just wanted to, just say thank you so much for joining us. And I love Balancer. They're part of my favorite DAOs are all on Balancer smart pools, and they're definitely one of my favorite ways to engage with liquidity providing. So thank you so much.
Cool, thanks. Great to hear that, and thanks for having me here. Let's see if this works.
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right.
And I can see you now too.
Great. All right. So yeah, Balancer is the most flexible AMM in DeFi, and with Balancer V2, we're really taking that to another level. From day one, the Balancer community has prioritized creating a platform for developers to build on. And in Balancer V1, the flexible design of liquidity pools allowed these emergent developer use cases to appear and to arise, such as managed index funds, IDOs, which are through a mechanism called LBPs, liquidity bootstrapping pools, smart treasuries, marketplaces like our partnership with Ocean Protocol, yield farming pools like what Yearn did when they first distributed the YFI token, and proof of liquidity staking pools like Aave's recently implemented security module implementation with Balancer BPT tokens. So, Balancer V2 is taking that further, and it's designed to be so flexible that it's a launch pad for anyone to permissionlessly innovate with AMMs, and really pushing the limits of how we generally think of exchanges and AMMs. So starting off with an overview, just like looking at high-level areas where Balancer V2, where like the team focused in developing Balancer V2, and what kind of innovations and improvements have been made. So 4 main areas: security, flexibility, capital efficiency, and gas efficiency. These were the top 4 priorities in building Balancer V2, and I'm going to walk you through some highlighted features that exemplify those 4 areas. So the first is the single vault architecture. So in Balancer V2, there is a single vault that holds and manages all assets from all Balancer pools. In V1, every liquidity pool is a separate smart contract that is holding tokens separately. And in V2, they're all going to be held in one vault. And this decision enables and enhances basically all of the following features that I'll be covering in this presentation. And in V2, there's a separation of the AMM logic from the token management and accounting. And the management and accounting is all done by the vault, while the AMM logic is individualized for each pool. So the second thing is customizable AMM logic. So in Balancer v2, the protocol moves from this singular AMM design to infinite AMM configurations. Every liquidity pool on Balancer can be assigned a specific AMM logic for it to follow. And Balancer v2 will launch with two initial versions, and those are weighted pools and stable pools. Weighted pools are essentially the logic of Balancer v1, like a shared pool on Balancer v1. And a stable pool is a pool for like value tokens, which uses the same math as in Curve. I've been watching a lot of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Same math as in Curve, which is made possible by the great work that they've done, of course. And soon after launch, we will have the third type of logic, which is smart pools, which is also being carried forward from Balancer v1. So on Balancer v2, like any developer can build their own AMM logic and deploy a Balancer pool that uses that. And so like what this does is it turns Balancer into this launch pad for teams to innovate with AMM strategies. And they can do that without worrying about a lot of the heavy lifting that they would have to do if they were building an actual, like a whole AMM from scratch, like the low level token transfers, the whole accounting system, the security checks, the smart order routing, all of that is taken care of by the Balancer protocol. All of that comes out of the box in Balancer v2, and it really frees up developer teams to get creative and experiment with that AMM logic component. So there's a lot of really interesting innovation that can and I think will come out of this. And yeah, I think I covered everything on the slide there. Third feature to highlight is asset managers. There was a great article by Fernando, CEO of Balancer, that came out the other week that goes into depth on this. So definitely recommend reading that on the Balancer Medium blog. But here's an overview. So basically all AMMs face this dilemma of capital efficiency, because at any given time, the majority of tokens that are held in a liquidity pool are actually not needed to satisfy the demand for trading. And that means that as people are trading against liquidity pools on an AMM, there's some portion of tokens that are actively needed to fulfill those trades. And then there's actually a very large portion that is sitting dormant. It's not doing anything. So that means that with the right design, with the right system, you could safely use those tokens more productively elsewhere instead of letting them sit there. And so that's what an asset manager is. In Balancer v2, any pool can have an asset manager, which is an external smart contract that is nominated by the pool to have full control over its tokens. And an asset manager's job is to determine a safe amount to withdraw and use elsewhere while maintaining enough liquidity in the pool to fulfill trades. And an asset manager must always keep this buffer, like a cash buffer, in the pool in order to make sure that there is enough liquidity for trades to be executed and not fail. Because if for whatever reason there is not enough liquidity available, then that's what would happen. The trades would fail. So that buffer must always be kept, and the pool needs to be replenished anytime token balance, the balance of tokens crosses below a certain threshold. And that's, all of that is the asset manager's job to manage and to determine. And so some of the reasons why this feature would be used and why people have been pretty excited about it is like two examples. One is the asset manager can temporarily withdraw tokens from the pool, use them for a governance vote, and then deposit them back into the pool. And then another one that is kind of, a pretty big game changer is that the asset manager can take those tokens and lend them to a lending protocol and therefore maximize yield on those tokens, maximizing the return that the LPs, the liquidity providers in that pool are receiving for their capital. This is a larger, like, graphical illustration of this concept of a liquidity pool with an asset manager. So like my computer's running really slow, so I hope that that's not just like frozen for you guys. But on the left here is a representation of all of the tokens that belong to this liquidity pool. And on the right is a breakdown of two groups within that pool, two groups of tokens within that pool. So on the bottom right, you have the invested amount, what we're calling, which is those are the tokens that have actually been removed from the pool and invested somewhere else. So they're being put to productive work somewhere else. And then the top right, we see what we're calling the cash amount, which is like that buffer that is being kept inside the vault to cover all trading activity that's happening with that pool. And again, if that cash amount drops below a safe level, then the asset manager has to replenish it by withdrawing some from the invested amount and putting it into the cash amount. So the first ever asset manager on Balancer V2 is being built by Aave, which we announced recently. And to state the obvious, they're going to be building an asset manager that lends tokens from Balancer liquidity pools into the Aave protocol, or through the Aave protocol. And it's a quote here from Stani that, yeah, I guess I'll just go ahead and read it. Part of what makes DeFi so exciting is its composability. And with Balancer, this has resulted in a partnership that optimizes the experience for liquidity providers through the Aave Balancer asset manager. We look forward to exploring more synergies with Balancer in the future. So that's a super exciting development. We're talking to some other teams about that as well. Actually, before we move on, one more point on asset managers is anyone can build an asset manager, but the pools, so first of all, not every pool on Balancer V2 has to have an asset manager. That's optional. Secondly, there can be many, I mean, this is a permissionless protocol. There can be all kinds of asset managed pools on the protocol. Not all of them will be displayed on the Balancer interface because the community is going to be very careful about what they show there. It's going to have to be heavily vetted. It's going to have to be, very well audited to make sure that it's, safe, secure, not malicious. There could be all kinds of asset managers out there, including malicious ones. So, they have they can permissionlessly do that, but we're going to be careful about like who we display and give people direct access to make sure that I just heard like 3 words out of a sentence. I don't know if that was an accident or if someone was asking a question. All right, I'm just going to continue. Let me know. The fourth feature here that I'll be highlighting is gas optimizations. So in Balancer V1, any trade that involves more than one liquidity pool is going to be gas inefficient, because that means more than one on-chain transaction has to be made, since again, each pool is a separate smart contract. So this vault architecture enables that in V2, only one on-chain transaction can be made, since all of the tokens are actually just coming from the same contract. So that, you know, is a great improvement, but it actually goes further than that, because you can also make trades on Balancer V2 without any on-chain transaction at all, and meaning that you don't have to spend any gas at all, because Balancer V2 allows users to hold an internal token balance, kind of like a personal wallet within the vault, within Balancer. So that's, you know, especially extremely useful for high frequency traders, because you know, they can deposit tokens into their internal balance, and then they can make unlimited trades within Balancer without any gas costs. So they would only spend gas when they deposit and when they withdraw. And this is basically kind of like a layer 2 solution within a layer 1 protocol, in the way that it works on a practical level, not on a technical level. So yeah, this is also a golden opportunity for arbitrageurs, because it really democratizes access to like profitable arbitrage strategies within Balancer, regardless of someone's you know, level of capital that they have. Because actually, even an arbitrager who has no tokens at all, like 0, but detects a price asymmetry between Balancer pools, can make that trade and make a profit without actually like spending anything. So for example, you could you see an asymmetry between these like 3 pools. So in pool 1, you trade token A for token B, and then in pool 2, you trade token B for token C, and then in pool 3, you trade token C back for token A, and then in the end, you make a profit in token A. So you just receive that token, instead of needing to actually make all these like on-chain transactions, which would be unnecessary, because you're just basically reshuffling the token balances within the Balancer vault. So yeah, I think that's like pretty awesome, and people are excited about that as well. So just like some other features to mention, Balancer V2 supports 3 types of protocol level fees that are controlled by governance. Those are trading fees, withdrawal fees, and flash loan fees. And at launch, only the flash loan fees will be activated. The other 2 are turned off. That will be under governance control. All protocol fees will be held in the vault until governance decides and votes to allocate them somehow. So that's regarding fees. And the second thing is oracles. The Balancer V2 will provide oracles that are resistant to sandwich attacks, and can be queried by dapps with minimal gas spend. And there'll be 2 different types of oracles. One is resilient oracles, which are less up to date but more resistant to manipulation, and instant oracles, which are more up to date but less resistant to manipulation. So giving developers like 2 different tools to choose from. And that's it. So thank you, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. That was, an amazing kind of culmination of everything we've heard today. I think, especially like following Pool Party, how we're talking about activating our idle interest and idle um, currency and putting it to use. Being able to do that in the balancer pool and have the asset manager is just another piece of the puzzle that's just missing. I think this year is really going to cross a lot of borders between DAOs and DeFi, and yeah, Balancer is definitely helping make that happen. Thank you so much, especially the swapping without gas. All that stuff really kind of goes to what we were talking about making things accessible and improving the user interface and experience throughout the whole process. So aside from all of that, like, how do you see pools forming on Balancer? Is it, are people approaching you mostly and it's organic? Is it are pools formed around kind of asset classes mostly, or how do people get started with creating their own smart pools and that process?
Yeah, so first off, like there are different types of pools, of course. On Balancer V1, you have shared pools, private pools, and smart pools. And the number one most commonly type of pool is a shared pool, which is called a weighted pool in Balancer V2. Basically, just a liquidity pool that holds between 2 and 8 tokens that are have a specified weight distribution that is selected by the pool creator. In Balancer, and then smart pools, to finish that thought. Smart pools are they're liquidity pools that are controlled by a smart contract and can change their parameters dynamically, like on the fly while they're live, while there's trading happening, while there's capital deposited. And those enable a lot of the like really interesting use cases that have emerged on Balancer, such as LDPs and smart treasuries and managed index funds and proof of liquidity pools and all these really cool like innovations in DeFi. So I think that the answer to your question is that it depends on the use case. One of the most popular use cases for Balancer liquidity pools today is liquidity bootstrapping pools, which are this mechanism for token sales that teams, I think, are more and more sort of reaching the consensus that it's the most favorable design out there for having a healthy and fair price discovery process and raising a good amount of capital and for distributing tokens evenly across a community, which like those are the results that have happened with LBPs so far. So, in the case of an LBP, teams will often reach out to us because there's sort of a lot of decisions that need to be made in terms of like how they set it up, and they usually have technical questions, and we very happily help them with that, and we share resources and guides and stuff like that. But there are also teams that do that permissionlessly, and I think like we see the whole gamut of teams that have an idea and it's a permissionless protocol, so they build it, they deploy it, and it's live, and we're just like, oh, cool, like someone made that, and like it's actually attracting a lot of liquidity. And then there are other ones where it's more kind of like a partnership where they're interacting with the Balancer Labs team and the Balancer community to coordinate on some things and brainstorm and help them sort of like launch things the right way. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, very much. Thank you so much for all that work, and I've definitely seen the the work that you do kind of with communities to massage them and make sure that things are the right way. And you guys have obviously considered tokenomics at a completely higher level than a lot of people. So thank you very much for that. One of the questions
Thanks.
that we have is around the L2 kind of gas savings within the protocol. Do you have any idea about when that might be released or how that might work that you can share?
That's going to be released at launch. So once Balancer V2 goes live, that feature will be there for people to start taking advantage. We don't have like a super pinpointed date for the launch, but in general, it's around the end of this month. It could spill into like the early part of next month. So it's definitely imminent. And was there any other part of the question that I didn't
No,
address?
we're definitely looking forward to it, and I'll keep my eyes peeled. Um,
Yeah, I think like this feature. I'm sorry to cut you off. Like I just think this feature is a really big game changer. I think it's going to definitely impact and improve the experience for a lot of aggregators that are, aggregating liquidity from AMMs and routing trades through like wherever is the most efficient path. It makes a lot of sense. Like if you're an exchange, an AMM aggregator, to hold an internal balance in the balancer vault because you're going to be making a lot of trades on behalf of all your users, like constantly, and use that to basically have like to be doing like gasless or very low gas like trades on a daily basis.
and how much just relative uh, is returned to users through fees? Like how much do users get back of the transactions that happen on Balancer over a given period?
Yeah. So currently, the 100% of swap fees on Balancer are paid to liquidity providers. Is that what you're talking about, or are you talking
Yeah.
about gas fees?
No, no, I'm talking about how much of the swap fees are kind of generated and returned to liquidity providers. Do you guys have metrics about like how much fees are generated and how much?
Yeah.
Uh,
Let me pull that up
yeah,
on my
sorry to put you on the
computer.
spot. I know that's kind of specific numbers.
No worries.
So one of the other things I love about Balancer that helps with that is like not being stuck to the 50-50 peg.
Yeah, and that opens up so much as far as like it's like a it's like a creative space or like a canvas for building all different types of um, not just liquidity pools, but like DeFi applications that utilize liquidity pools. For example, the Ampleforth USDC Smart Pool, which is designed for like managing like when one of the tokens in the pool is a rebasing token. Um, and yeah, like one of the most popular pools on Balancer is the Balancer ETH 80-20 pool, which means that it's 80% BAL, 20% WETH, so wrapped ETH. So something that's divided 80-20 is a great way to maintain long-term exposure if you're bullish on BAL, or there are other 80-20 pools, like you're bullish on one asset, and you don't want to get killed with impermanent loss like you would in a 50-50 pool. It's a really like great solution. So yeah, as far as fees, I just pulled up like a general dashboard here because I don't know if I have like more in-depth numbers, but like thus far since launch, there's been almost $47 million generated in fees, and 100% of that has gone to liquidity providers on Balancer. If I had a little more time, I could look up more granular stuff like, fees over the last week. But the point
Yeah.
is, like 2 points I would make. One is as of now, up until now, there hasn't been a protocol level fee that is kept by the protocol. It's all given to LPs. And the second thing that I wanted to mention, which I thought that you might have been asking about, is that we actually have been having this gas reimbursement program that recently was reimbursing trading fees, reimbursing the gas that traders have had to pay while trading on Balancer, if based on like specific token pairs that are incentivized on Balancer. So.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well, and I'm very thankful for that gas return too. So thank you so much for not only making the tools, but also funding people and empowering them to kind of own their own fees. And I think that's always been one of the things I loved about Balancer as well, is that all of the money that's generated is returned to the users in the community. So thank you very much.
Thanks.
So we have our next speaker, I believe, Nibrik. Are you here? Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, I'm here.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Jeremy. And I hope everyone takes the opportunity to learn more about Balancer. And we look forward to V2 coming out soon. Thank you very much.